Fall is such a great time of the year. The beautiful colors from the leaves changing, the cold, crisp air that welcomes colder months ahead, which for me means boots, jeans, and sweaters. For football fans, it might mean a tailgate. And what better dish to bring to a tailgate than a pot of chili that's been slow cooking for hours? It's versatile, delicious, and an absolute fan favorite. The flavors in chili are among some of my favorites. The smoky, earthy, and spicy flavors from cumin, chili powder, smoked paprika, so delicious. And chili itself is actually a really healthy dish. You can load it up with lots of veggies and beans, and if you're going to add a meat, choose a lean protein source. I say it's time for good eats and football. Hood, hood! On today's episode, we have some very special guests joining me. Culinary superstars, actually, that'll be sharing their recipe for chili, which we'll be pairing with all the fixins, and homemade corn muffins. I am super excited for you to fall in love with this chili recipe on this episode of the Red Clay Cook-Off Family Style. What's in store for you today? Or should I say, who is in store for you today? Matt and Mia Curtis. Check out this live action footage of their shopping spree to purchase all of the ingredients to make this delicious meal. Say, Mia looks like she knows her way around the grocery store. We are on our way to an amazing episode.
Let's go.
On today's episode, you are about to experience the culinary skills of a Red Clay star, Mia Curtis, who was featured in the Cooke Film Festival making pierogies from scratch. Her cooking skills were inspired by her dad, Matt Curtis, who is a chef by trade and also really values the importance of getting kids in the kitchen, teaching them to cook, which makes them both the perfect guests for our show. So let's not waste any more time. Let's bring them out. Hi, Mia. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? I'm so happy to
back to school.
Yes, I know. Fall is here. Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not happy to be back to school, though.
No, I know. I wish it was still summertime, but it'll be here before you know it because summer went by like that.
Yeah.
So what are we making today? Tell us a little bit about what recipes we're sharing with everyone.
Well, Mia loves to cook. She's very ambitious, and so is my son Tyner. And what we do is a lot of times we don't have time in the house to do cooking. So something like a chili, which everybody loves, everybody has their own variation of, we make a chili. And we have a lot of ingredients, we have a lot of fun, a lot of cutting, and a lot of preparing. And that's what we do at our house. And a lot of preparation goes into just setting it and forgetting about it, and mom and dad can go off to work or the kids go off to school, and it's done when you get home.
Awesome. So chili is one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love chili, and it's a tradition in my house to always make it on Halloween. So this is following perfect timing for me with making the chili. So tell me about your passion for cooking. Is a lot of it because your dad loves to cook so much and he started getting you in there early? What was the first thing you ever made? Do you remember?
Meatballs.
Meatballs. Got in there with your hands all dirty. I love doing that. Awesome. And you really value getting both your son and your daughter.
I do. My wife is fantastic about when the kids were little, not just giving them mac and cheese or something out of a box or a can, and really instilled nutrition.
Yeah.
And our kids rarely get sick. And I think that has to do with the nutrition and what they put in their bodies.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. What Matt just said is really a true testament to what we really talk about on the show about why it's so important to get kids in the kitchen. Because if you help them develop a good, strong relationship with not just liking food, like if they like chicken tenders or mashed potatoes or mac and cheese, that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about getting them in there and really valuing true, real, homemade food and how that really instills good habits for a lifetime. So you're gonna be a healthy rock star. You get up early, you cook food, and you eat healthy.
Yeah.
And you have a beautiful smile. Thank you. All right, so let's get started cooking. What's step one? I'm actually gonna, how about this? I'm putting you in the middle because I'm just gonna sit back today and let you guys do your thing because you guys are a dad and daughter like powerhouse duo.
What we did was a least expensive cut of meat is something that you have to put a lot of effort into normally. So what we did here is this is a top round or a top eye round.
Okay.
And this is from the back of the steer. It's not the butt, it's not the rump. It is part of right around the thigh area of the steer. You can get it at most of your supermarkets, and it's the least expensive cut of meat.
And it's very lean too, which is good in this dish because you don't need a lot of that marbling because it's going to cook for so long.
Correct. So
excited.
this is what we use. This is what we use at home, and we'll cube it, and it's more of a stewy chili with a lot of seasoning, as you can see. Also love white beans, which we'll talk about later, and San Marzano tomatoes, which have a lot of flavor to them.
Yes, they do. Certainly.
So I'm going to start dicing this, and while I dice this, Ms. Mia is going to start getting ready for a coating. We like a lot of flavor at the Curtis house. So what we're going to do is Mia's going to put in probably a little bit, probably about 2 tablespoons of flour. And while I'm cutting this, she's going to fill up the bowl with some flour. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a searing seasoning for our meat. So we're going to sear the meat, and then we're going to season the sauce and the whole chili a little bit later on.
And today we're using a cooking system that actually you can saute in, and then you can turn it to a crock pot. If you were just using a standard crock pot, you would want to get this nice searing aspect done in a pan first, and then really deglaze that pan after you add the onions and garlic. I'm not sure if that's how you do it. That's where a lot of flavor is when in that searing. So you don't get that on a standard crock pot.
So Mia is going to do, we have cumin. So she's going to put about a tablespoon of cumin in there, and have fun. You can just measure it out, right? Right,
Yeah.
Mia?
There you go.
Right, little flour everywhere.
Little snow. She's like, Dad, you're going to make dress dirty.
So-
now you have flour on the front of you. Making a mess is fun.
Go ahead. Just
And I think that's a good thing about when I make chili too. I'm more just try a little bit. That's why this is one of my dad's favorite dishes to make, and that's the way chili. It's you just have to taste the flavors as you go, and you're never going to make it exactly the same. And that's the beauty of it.
And then we want our chili to taste like chili, so we have chili powder.
Go heavy on the chili powder, right? A little heavier. A lot of people, when they think antioxidants and nutrition, they just really think like food. And mainly fruits and vegetables, but chili powders are from a chili, and they actually pack a lot of antioxidant power just in the powder itself. So, it's a powerful ingredient in it on its own.
Next we have
this is curry powder,
Yes.
which is it's a new addition to the way I would make chili. So tell me why you add the curry powder.
I just love curry powder. I think the aromatics, the flavor, and when you're braising, it really sinks into the meats and whatever you're cooking, shrimp, chicken, beef. So we have curry, we have onion powder, we have thyme, and for
garlic.
The students at home that do not know what thyme looks like, your parents might grow it, and this is actually from our garden. But we use a dry version. We're also going to put a little bit of fresh in there as we cook.
I'm gonna put some
But
thyme in your hair.
dry herbs and dry seasonings
We'll
are like
wear a little
tea.
thyme in her hair, like a
There
little
we go.
flower.
Mia's got thyme in her hair now.
Then we have
Like tea, if you think about
not
having
gonna
hot
use
tea at home, some dried herbs, once they're more pungent when they're dry, and then once they go into a liquid, they perfume and evaporate emote all of their flavors.
then we use a bit of garlic powder.
Yes, garlic powder.
And I must say that there's nothing cooking here yet, but all these spices, the aromas are hitting me in the face, and it already doesn't it smell delicious in here already? And that chili has just so much, and you can add so many different spices to it.
All right, Mia, we're going to finish this off with some salt and pepper, and then we're going to get to cooking. Okay, put a couple pinches of that salt in there and some pepper. So we have our meat here. We're just going to toss it around a little bit. I put some canola oil into the bottom of the pan and making sure it's hot. The reason we're using the canola oil is because olive oil has great flavor, but it's got a lower smoking threshold. So if I put that in there now, it would just start smoking and it would sear our meat quickly and would be an off flavor. So we'll try and knock off dust as much as we can, enough of the flour.
And the flour not only will help the spices coat on that, but it will also really lock in that nice seared texture on the outside.
Yes.
And the flavors.
We want to get it browned.
The searing aspect is important. So if you're using a standard crock pot, you really do want to do this first on the stove and then transfer it into your crock pot, because this is where a lot of the flavor comes from.
Mia's gonna put the rest of this meat in here, and then we're gonna get her to start cutting. So what we're gonna have here is one important thing that I've tried to teach the kids and show the kids are proper knife techniques. First of all, we're gonna go over this side a little bit, Mia. Wipe your hands off here. Kids at home, first of all, don't do this without your parents' permission. But a chef, you're never gonna hold the knife right here on the end because you can twist this way and lose your balance and lose a finger, more importantly. So you always wanna hold it at the base or the tang of the blade. So that's where Mia's gonna hold it on the blade. She's gonna go and we're gonna dice an onion, and this is the proper way to dice an onion. Go not all the way through, and the onion it grows in the ground and has a root. So Mia's got the bottom root down here, and that'll keep the onion together. So she's making a couple little incisions and lines, and she's gonna flip it over, make a couple more lines.
And she did leave the base is still connected. If you did leave the root on, if you cut it and left the root there, you could go a little bit farther down, but because the root is cut off in this instant, she left about an inch. It's like
And
magic.
then we're going to turn it over and then keep your tip down and then just cut.
So you can see, without really doing a dice, you can see how by doing that, all the pieces are all broken apart, and they'll break apart even more. So that's a nice way to get a dice without having to dice, fast.
So just use the back of your knife and just push that aside for now because we're still gonna try and brown our meat, and then Mia's gonna mince some garlic.
First, you want to take it apart, and then you want to cut off a tiny bit of the top. And then I like to crack it, so then you'll put the tip down, and then you'll have the blade facing away from you, and then you'll push down, and then you can either push down with all your might, or I like to just crack it.
There you go.
And then take off the skin,
I'm messing with you. Starting to go
and then
now.
start to cut.
Starting.
And you can always buy, I'm not sure, Matt, if you have a preference, but some people do buy the garlic that's already pre-minced in the jar. I prefer to use the fresh, but I know a lot of people use that for convenience, and that's a matter of preference.
I gotta stop.
Starting to get you. So onions do tend to make you cry. Was that because here? That wasn't me, was it? Just kidding. Onions do tend to make you cry sometimes, and it's amazing how sometimes they get you, sometimes they don't.
For the recipe here, once again, it's about 2 pounds of the top round, about a cup of diced onion, and the onion, once it cooks, is gonna go transparent. A lot of the moisture is gonna come out. It's gonna shrink up a little bit. And about 3 cloves of garlic. Once again, if your family loves garlic, you can put more in there.
Yeah.
And if they're not so keen on garlic, leave it out. Leave it out. A lot of these recipes you can modify to everybody's preference.
Yeah.
And allergies.
And allergies. And that actually brings me to the meat. I wanted to take a few seconds to talk about the meat. First of all, red meat, it does have a lot of, not a negative connotation around is the red meat good or bad? Red meat isn't bad. You don't want to eat primarily red meat. If you choose to eat meat, you can also be a vegetarian, and that's perfectly fine. But if you do eat meat, you just want to choose leaner cuts of red meat. And the cut we chose today is a lean cut.
Yes.
But you could use chicken, you could use ground turkey, you could use ground chicken, you could omit the meat and just make this all with vegetables and add more veggies to it. You could add zucchini and butternut squash, and there's so many variations of this.
And chicken, of course, in ground turkey, you would not cook it as long as you would with this, but we do a lot of ground turkey at our house.
Yeah.
As well. We are a big household for that.
And the purpose of the cooking this is going to cook for about 6 hours, right, Matt? And the beef's just going to start to kind of almost get to the point where it's going to melt in your mouth.
About 6 hours. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just the perfect amount of time for the kids to go to school and then mom and dad to go to work and come back and have dinner ready.
Yeah, just because you're busy and you don't have time to cook doesn't mean you can't wake up at 5 a.m. like Mia does with her dad and cook dinner.
All right, Mia's going to finish that one. We're going to put the onions in here. Just smash that.
Do you want me to match with the onions or want to
There
wait
it
till
is.
she's ready?
There it is.
You can put the onions in if you want.
You want me to go in with them?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. Come behind you, Matt.
All right.
The best
You're
thing
doing
about
great.
chili is that it tastes so good, and you don't know how many vegetables and stuff go into it, and you don't know that it's actually like it has healthy stuff in it, but you think
does.
that it's more like a mac and cheese like that. It's like tasty.
Yes. So I think we have a bowl. I'm going to grab a bowl because it might be a little bit easier to squish the tomatoes. And this is the way we do it too. And you could buy pre-diced, but this is the way we do it too. And I just love the texture it gives it
And I think Mia gets all that
and the fun part.
first week of school frustration out.
You're taking it out on the tomatoes. Better than taking it out on me or your dad, right? Poor tomatoes. Sorry, buddy. But the San Marzano tomatoes really do have so much flavor, and they are very common in sauces, like a traditional tomato sauce as well. But not only are they packed with flavor, but they are loaded with nutrition. And actually, processed tomatoes have more nutritional power than sometimes fresh because they're concentrated more. But extremely high source of lycopene, which is a very, very healthy antioxidant. Fights off cancer and
It's great, and the acidity in the tomatoes also helps break down the meat. Just dump this in because this is hot. I just learned that the hard way. And we're gonna put in the tomatoes. We're gonna put in our cannellini beans.
Oh, right.
And cannellini beans in our household, I think we prefer them a lot more. A lot of people
Yes.
traditionally make chili with kidney beans.
yes.
The skin on the kidney beans are a little, not to my liking. It's a little more firm, and then once you chew them up, the skin still hangs around.
Exactly.
We also have a low sodium beef broth. Here, Mia, go ahead, you put that in there. You gotta earn your money today.
I know, working. And we went with low sodium, Matt. Again, I'm not sure what your preference is, but I always feel like I'd rather cook with low sodium because then you can control the salt that goes into your dish.
The other one.
Using the
sorry.
beef broth
Don't touch this.
just adds that that intensifies the flavors.
Is this okay?
Yes,
That-
it does. The beef broth does intensify the flavors. You can use a low sodium chicken if you prefer. We're cooking with beef, so we're using beef.
Yeah. This is what I love about chili so much. There's so many variations.
So many
I'm
variations.
watching like curry powder, beef broth.
And then what we're gonna do is Mia is going to season this with all of our spices, and then we're going to add 2 more. We're gonna add a little heat.
Alrighty.
Start out with salt, pepper.
Yep.
You can use pinches, and we have a lot. Go ahead.
Look how pretty that is. Assortments of colors, and I can smell the flavor.
Assortment of colors and cultures.
Exactly. Colors,
San Marzano
cultures.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
Mexican and Indian seasonings and spices. It's
Yeah.
just running the gamut of cultures here. So everybody
awesome.
should be familiar with the items we're using. So once again, the onion pack, go heavy on the chili, right? Because we want that to taste like chili. Bring it over. Bring it over. It's like,
Don't drop the whole bowl in there. You're going in with curry now.
Curry.
Again, you could use peppers in this dish if you wanted to. You'd add them around the same time you'd aad the onions.
This one, I haven't used those two yet.
And this
Okay.
is, I want you to
Those
talk
are-
about
those are the-
these.
This
Yes.
is the onion.
This one, people don't cook enough with this one, if you ask me, the flavor.
Top one there is chipotle.
This one is chipotle.
Now this has some heat to it, so we're gonna go light. And you can always adjust the flavor. You can put heat in, but you can't take it out.
Yeah.
Same thing with salt.
And you could always use cayenne pepper instead of the chipotle if that's something that you have handy instead of having, I know sometimes people go out and buy a specific spice and then you only
then
use
the
it for one
cayenne.
recipe and then it sits for a while. So you could use cayenne if you have that.
This is-
And it's amazing. It's just the smoked paprika imparts
Yeah.
such good flavor.
So we're gonna let this cook for about 6 hours. I'll put the timer on, and that's the best part about it. We don't have to worry about it, especially with this cooking device.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about it sticking and burning, and we're good to go.
Let it
And
do
then
its
we
thing.
can-
All right, so since we don't have school today, we are just going to go hang out for 6 hours, right? So much
Yeah.
fun. And wait for this dish to pull together. And when we do come back, we are going to put together the perfect accompaniment to this dish, which is homemade cornbread, which I love. But while we are hanging out for 6 hours, you are going to learn about the nutritional benefits, how much iron and B12 is packed not only in the red meat, but also in the beans in this dish. So I hope you learn a lot while we are just chilling for the next 6 hours.
Ready to iron out why this dish is such a great source of, well, iron. Both red meat and beans, which are found in our chili recipe today, are great sources of iron. When it comes to red meat, in comparison to white meat and fish, it tends to be higher in saturated fat. But choosing lean cuts can be a part of a healthy diet. Red meat is loaded with iron and vitamin B12, which are both needed for the formation of red blood cells. And speaking of red blood cells, did you know that they're like taxi cabs for our body, transporting oxygen to your organs and carbon monoxide to your lungs to exhale? Not big on red meat, or maybe you're a vegetarian? Then pass the beans, please. Beans are also an amazing source of iron. In fact, 1 cup contains anywhere from 24 to 37% of the recommended daily value of iron. So while beans are a great source of iron, they're not a good source of B12. Irons, buddy. So if you're following a vegetarian diet, consider taking vitamin B12 supplements or choose foods fortified with vitamin B12. Well then, I think we ironed all that out. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. It has been about 5.5 hours, and we took this time, by the beauty of the crock pot, we were able to leave. So we all went to the orchards and went for a hay ride, which, oof, still little hay in your hair, sweetie pie.
Can't take you anywhere.
Can't
Look at
take you in.
this.
Were you rolling in it? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
I did.
We met-
I did. I'm a
yeah.
little itchy still.
Yeah, little hayride. So that's the beauty of a crock pot. You can leave your house and let it cook all day. So it smells amazing in here. I can smell the flavors of the chili. And now what we're going to do is get going on this cornbread, which is a perfect side dish to this. So Mia, how about you go ahead and go in with the dry ingredients. Typically bake too much. You're that savory guy.
Out of a box cornbread.
Out of a box cornbread.
Out of a box cornbread. Trader Joe's. I'm sorry for the plug, but it's great. It's great.
It is good. And there's nothing wrong with going out of the box, especially for baked goods. Today we are making cornbread from scratch, which is super easy because it's not like with cupcakes you got to like cream the butter and aerate everything. You can just really put everything in the same bowl, which is what we're doing. So she's going in with a teaspoon of salt. Then we have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. You could use whole grain white flour if you were trying to pump up the nutritional value. So you want me to dump it in there?
Sure.
All right. 1 cup of all-purpose flour. 1 cup
of cornmeal.
Cornmeal, exactly. And the texture of cornmeal is a little bit coarser. If you feel the texture of it, it's a little coarser than regular flour.
And then we have
and that is a tablespoon
of baking powder.
Yep. And would you know what baking powder is good for in a baking dish while you have it? Helps.
To puff up.
That's right, exactly. So then we got baking powder, and it's also a really good cleaning agent around the house. Can you whisk that for me?
Sure.
So we're just gonna mix together the dry ingredients, and then Mia, do you want to crack the eggs, or do you want your?
I'd love to.
All right. Cracking eggs is fun, and I always talk about the nutritional value of eggs because they really are a powerhouse when it comes to nutrition, vitamins, minerals, and a lot of it is also in the yolk. So indulge in the yolks.
Nature's perfect food.
It is nature's perfect food. And you can whisk that for me with a fork.
I'll have to say that besides butter, this is probably the second reason I love cornbread is because it's so easy to make.
It is. It's hard to mess up from a box or from scratch. It's really easy.
Okay.
So she's going to go in with the eggs, just because we're going to use that next to measure. Perfect. And then you can just use this same dish. And you're going to do 2/3 of a cup of. We have low-fat milk today, so any type of milk you can. Yep, 2/3 of a cup. So she's going in with the milk. Another thing, I'm not sure, Matt, even when you've used a box cornbread, you could add different flavors to it.
We do nuts sometimes, a little bit of honey sometimes. My wife is the one that usually throws it together. I always screw it up, but
And you eat it.
and I eat it.
And then we have half a cup of sugar. I was drawing a blank.
Half a cup of sugar. Yep.
And just it's all there, and then you just whisk away.
Guess what? I was having so much fun, I forgot to add the oil. You will need 1/3 of a cup. You can also substitute applesauce.
You know, cheddar and jalapeno would be great in there, but
Yes.
I know the kids' spicy tolerance is not like mine. But
what you could do is if you're making muffins, you could do 6 plain.
That's a good point.
And
That's a
then
very
you could
good
use
point.
the rest of the batter and fold in. That way, Mom and Dad get a little bit of that spice, and then the kids don't have to.
Yeah, I like cheese.
You like cheese,
and
so we'll
stuff.
give you the cheese, but we'll save the jalapenos for us. I'm just getting all that good stuff off of there. So you can just take the spatula. Spatulas are really handy for baking because it really helps you just scrape the sides of that and get all that stuff off the sides and mix it one more time for me. And really, when you're with a spatula, just kind of give it a good turn around. It just gets all the ingredients off the side. Make sure it's well incorporated. Just give it one make. We have a nice, beautiful color on the cornbread. You can see the cornmeal adds a lot of that yellow color, so it's goldenly delicious looking. And then we have an ice cream scooper, which is going to make getting the muffins perfect, the same uniform size, and also make scooping a little bit easier. So Mia's going to do that. And we have the oven preheated. We have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. And while we finish scoop these muffins into the tins, we are going to pop them in the oven and then take a quick break so you can learn a little bit more nutrition information through a pop quiz. And when we come back, these muffins will be finished and we will be able to enjoy this delicious chili and actually talk about all the accompaniments.
Can I get the butter?
Can you get the butter? Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
It's time for the Red Clay Nutrition Trivia Challenge. Here's your question. What are the health benefits that have been linked to the active ingredient capsaicin, which is found in hot peppers? A. Increase metabolic rate and reduce appetite. B. Reduce blood pressure. C. Reduce risk of cancer. Or D. All of the above. Stay tuned. The answer right after this break.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
If you answered D, you're spot on. Capsaicin has many amazing benefits beyond just the ability to make you break into a sweat. Besides the benefits we listed in this quiz, capsaicin aids in digestive health, pain reduction, and much, much more. So, I think it's time to spice things up and get back to our show.
Welcome back. We hope you did fantastic on that pop quiz. And our muffins are ready. And because I have such an experienced chef here with me, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about her. I'm just kidding. I'm going to have her take the muffins out of our oven. So you got the pot holders, and they smell delicious. And she's going to showcase how beautiful golden brown they are.
They're hot.
Hot, hot, hot. Got it. So they're going to cool back there. And while those muffins are cooling, we are going to talk about all these toppings that we have out here for chili, which takes
all the accompaniments.
Yes.
Everybody has their own tastes. Everybody has their own flavors. I like spicy. I like a lot of bold flavors. I think you and I were talking during our planning for the show and recipes. Some people love cilantro. Some people just don't love cilantro. Avocados are a traditional accompaniment and a lot of health benefits, right?
Yes, a really healthy source of fat. Like a lot of people think, oh my gosh, avocados are so bad for you, they're fattening. It's a really healthy fat. It's good for your hair and your skin, for us girls.
And then what else do we have? We have, I like sour cream, and you told me about?
Yeah, Greek yogurt. Fat-free Greek yogurt is a great substitute for sour cream in any recipe, and you really wouldn't tell the difference. And then lettuce.
Well, we have iceberg lettuce here, but I imagine there's several different types of lettuce everybody else has a preference for.
Yeah. And then limes, you can squeeze some fresh lime juice on it to give it that extra, just that freshness at the end. And then
you gotta have cheese.
Gotta have cheese. Have to have cheese. So we have some cheddar cheese, a blend of cheddar cheese, and then mozzarella, which was a preference of yours. I've never tried the mozzarella in there, so I'm
I like
excited
a spicy cheese. I like a flavorful cheese, but I also like mozzarella in there because
the cream in it.
It's a pizza. It's a melting factor. The cream in there, and it does just slurry around in there, and it just makes it a hearty dish that you can eat.
Yeah, and another one you mentioned is queso fresco.
Queso fresco, yes.
Which is a crumbly.
It's
more
a
of crumbly
cheese. Think of feta. A lot
Yeah.
of people are familiar with feta cheese. This is a Mexican. It's very light, not sharp. It's slightly wet, but it's a crumbly cheese that you can put in there, and it will melt.
Yeah.
Fantastic, as long as your chili's hot temperature-wise.
But for heat, we also have diced jalapenos, which Mia, could you please Vanna White that jalapeno?
Here, can I give you a hand with that jalapeno?
Oh, look at that! That fancy little thing. She's like, I've got it. And the jalapeno is packed with a component called, all peppers are packed with a component called capsaicin. I always mess that up. But that is a really powerful component. It's used in like a lot of healing properties, but it's good for inflammation, heart. It also boosts your metabolism so we can eat more chili.
Yeah. I'm going to spice up my life with some capsaicin.
Oh, check you out. All right, well, let's get spicy with this chili. Let's try this out.
And Jess, one thing about the chili, we put the beans in early. I did add a little more beans after our hayride because one thing I like is they do mush up and they get tender and they crumble into the chili, and it makes the stock like a stew.
Okay.
As we talked about earlier. So I did add a few more cannellini beans just so you can see them.
Yes, that's and it keeps the texture. And if one thing I forgot to mention earlier is if you have a picky eater that maybe you have picky eaters at home that don't like beans, but you want them to eat it for the nutritional benefit, you could puree beans and add some pureed beans in there, and they would never notice they were in there. And
I'm gonna have some avocado.
Now we gotta go with the toppings. Here's your sour cream. I'm gonna try I'm gonna do a dollop of Greek yogurt. Oh yes, the avocado. Check this trick out. So, Matt, if you want to quickly explain that, because cutting an avocado is a technique.
It's very important to have a sharp knife. So you just take the sharp knife and you just stab the fruit inside the stone fruit, and you can just knock that off. And what you like to do here is don't do this at home, Mia, without me. But you just take a very sharp knife again, and you score through the avocado a few times, and then you crisscross, just like that.
Excuse me.
Give it a little tender squeeze with your hand, and then you can scoop the avocado out, and you have diced avocado.
Look at that. And it's perfectly ripe.
And we'll put it, no waste.
Yeah, no waste. Look at that. Perfectly diced avocado by Matt. And Mia is going to quickly chop the lettuce. And the lettuce gives it like a nice crunch that contrasts well with the texture of the chili. You really don't even have to chop the cilantro. With cilantro, you can really just take the leaves and pop them in. You don't necessarily have to chop it. So I'm just going to pick some. I love, 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 love the pop of color, but more importantly, the flavor that cilantro adds. Well. And I'm going in, I'm spicing up my life there, girl. Got some jalapenos. I'm gonna go in for the creaminess. I've never tried mozzarella and chili.
Oh, indulge, have as much as you can.
Indulge. Gotta get my calcium and vitamin D, build strong bones, you know, with cheese. And this is really like a taco in a bowl. And speaking of a taco in a bowl, if you had any of this left, made a big batch, you could always transform this dish. You could reduce the sauce down and put it in a burrito. So you really can use these leftovers later.
And you know what my son loves to do as well? He loves little tortilla chips, and he will just crumble up tortilla chips, and he will just put them right in his chili.
Yes, that's what I do too. And I'm gonna go in with a quick squeeze of lime over it just to brighten it up. You want one? Go for it, girl. I'm so excited because I love chili.
You guys aren't missing out on anything.
So amazing. I want to keep eating, but I have to close. So I'm going to try one little bite of this cornbread, and then I'm going back to eat the rest of that chili because that is amazing. Awesome.
Like I said, I always make a mess when I do this.
I'm the person that always goes and picks the little pieces off the top and then leaves the rest of the muffin for the next person. This dish is amazing, especially this time of year. And cooking Curtis family style might be my new favorite family style because this was awesome. And thank you so much. You guys have been amazing guests. And remember, for all of you guests out there, cooking family style is a great way to get your kids in the kitchen. And I think Curtis family style is the new motto. Check it out. Check it out. Thank you, guys.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy this episode? Make sure to check out past episodes by going to the EdTV website, watchedtvnow.com, or visit YouTube and search for The Red Clay Cook-Off Family Style. Your taste buds will be glad you did. Hey Cook-Off fans, it's your host, Jessica Terranova. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, make sure to click the thumbs up below, and for notifications when we post new episodes, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.